Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, it's a true honor to be here today. I enjoyed working with your parents last night. We had a wonderful turnout, and I hope you enjoyed this program today as well. Like she said, your counselors, your teaching staff, they worked very hard to bring Teen Truth here today. They did that because they care about you, and they care about giving you a voice here on this campus. So please give them a round of applause for helping make this happen for you. Heck yeah. Now, before we get started, I know whenever I speak at a high school, I just like students to know, because I'm sure you've seen different assemblies, maybe back in junior high or middle school, you saw different speakers come to your campus, and I just like students to know that I'm not like some motivational speaker, okay? I'm not here to tell you some crazy story about my life. I'm not a comedian. I'm not here to tell you jokes, do magic tricks or anything. I'm a film producer. And the reason why I'm so excited to be here today to speak with you is to share with you our films at Teen Truth. And the reason I'm so excited to share these films with you is because our films are actually shot by students just like you. We give students cameras, we ask them to film their life for an entire school year, we take that footage and we put it into our films. And that's why we're working so hard at Teen Truth. We're on a mission to give you a voice and empower you as students to use your voice in your life and in this school community. Now, like your counselor said, my name's Pohl, and I'm actually the producer of the Teen Truth film series. And I've been working on films for many years, and I love movies. I love everything about movies, and I'm sure many of you like movies. How many people here, by show of hands, like movies? All right, a lot of you do. Very cool. That's what I like to see. Keeps guys like me in business. Now I get to think, there's all different types of movies. And the reason we like movies so much is because the way they make us feel. A comedy, if it's funny, makes us laugh, makes us feel good. An action movie, maybe gets us pumped up. A scary movie, if it's really scary, can make us scared. But how many of you, by show of hands, have ever seen a movie that made you think about your life? Yeah? All right, well, I have. Very cool. Well, as a filmmaker, as a producer, those are the kinds of stories I'm attracted to. Stories that can make people think. And every now and then there's a film that comes along that really makes us think about our life. And back several years ago, I'd actually just graduated from college. I had just moved down to Hollywood, and there was an event that made me think. As you well know, over the last 10 to 20 years, there's been several school shootings at schools across America and around the world. And that year after I graduated from college was the year of the Columbine High School shooting outside of Denver, Colorado. On April 20th that year, two young boys, not much older than you, walked onto their high school campus. And they walked onto that campus with an arsenal of guns, weapons, and bombs. And they murdered 13 people that day. And they harmed many, many more. And the event was put on the news, the internet, newspapers around the world. People were shocked. Like nothing like that had ever really happened in America before. I was shocked. Right? When I was your age in school, I'll be honest with you. When I was in high school, I enjoyed my time in school. All my friends were there. We did fun things like come to events like this. When I heard about the Columbine shooting, I couldn't understand why two students would be so upset inside and so angry that they want to walk on campus and harm innocent people. But these events, these shootings, attacks, suicides, they keep happening at schools across the country. And people want to know why. Why are these things happening in our schools? And the problem that we had with it at Teen Truth is that anytime we turn on the news, anytime we turn on CNN, we turn on Fox, we'd always see some adult. We'd always see some expert telling us why those kids did what they did. And the problem that we had with it was we never really saw any students. And the kids that we would see on the news, they'd always be asking them, what happened? What'd you see in the library? Kind of like they're looking for the gory details. But they'd never be asking them why. And we really felt that students had something to say about the issue. So we decided to recruit 5 students. And those were 5 high school students, and we gave them cameras. And we asked them to film their life for an entire school year. We said, hey, you could take this camera with you to school, to work, on the bus, out with family, out with friends, out running the streets. They really let us into their lives. Because after an event like Columbine High School, or some of the other tragedies that we've seen lately here in America, they felt it was so important for people to start understanding why. And they felt it was so important for people to start understanding some of the pressure that you feel every single day. And that's why we're working so hard at Teen Truth. Everything that we're doing, everyone who works for me at our company, we've committed our lives to giving you a voice and empowering you as students to use your voice in your life and in this school community. Now today, I want to show you the film that those 5 students helped us create. But before I show you this film, I kind of just want to lay the ground rules down just so we're all on the same page. The first thing I'd like you to know about this film is that every student you see in this movie that I'm about to show you is a real student just like you. All right, there are no professional actors in this movie. And you're going to see some surveillance footage from Columbine High School, from the shooting. I just want you to know as students, we didn't put this content in the film to scare you. We put in the film to make you think, so you might think about why some of these events happen and what you can do here at your school to help stop these events from happening. And lastly, we talked about movies and how certain movies make us think. A lot of you raised your hand, said you've seen them before. Well, I'd like to ask you to do me a favor. I'd like to ask you to watch this film. It's only about 20 minutes long. And I'd like you to watch it and just think. But think about your life. Think about some of the stuff you've had to deal with growing up. Maybe at school, maybe some junk at home with your family, maybe stuff out on social media. And think, can you relate to anything the students on screen are saying? Have you ever felt anything they're feeling? And if you haven't, maybe you've heard about someone or seen someone on this campus dealing with these type of pressures in their life. So it is a huge honor to be here today working with you. I hope you enjoy our film. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for having us out here today. Well, thank you. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the film. I always like to point out here in the credits, if you look up on screen actually, right here, after these guys right here, you can see many of the students help us make this film. A lot of these students are your age, they're high school students. These students spent a year of their life working on this movie. Because after the Columbine tragedy, they thought it was so important for people to start understanding why. And they felt it was so important for people to start understanding some of the pressure that you feel every single day. And that's why we're working so hard at Teen Truth. Everything that we're doing is geared around giving you a voice and empowering you every single day to use that voice in your life and in this school community. Now, before we started the film, we talked about movies and how certain movies make us think. A lot of you raised your hand, said you've seen them before. And I asked you to do me a favor. I asked you to watch this film and think. And I'd like to ask you again. You don't have to raise your hand or anything, but I'd like to ask you to just take a quiet moment. Just slow down and just take a second to yourself. And I'd like you to just think. Think about your life. Maybe some of the stuff you've had to deal with growing up, maybe at school. Maybe some junk at home with your family. Maybe stuff out on social media. And think, can you relate to anything the students on screen were saying? Have you ever felt any of the things they're feeling? And if you haven't, I'm sure you've seen someone or heard about someone on this campus dealing with these issues at school, at home, or out on social media. You see, when you're a student, especially a high school student, there can be a lot of pressure on you, can't there? And that pressure is coming at you from all different directions. With the internet, cell phones, it's coming at you 24 hours a day. You got pressure to fit in. You got pressure to be cool. You got pressure to get good grades. You got pressure to wear the right clothes. You got relationships now. Does he like me? Does she like me? You got pressure to please your parents, please your teachers, and please your friends. And sometimes that pressure we feel stops us from telling our truth. That pressure we feel at school or at home stops us from using our voice and telling people how we truly feel. I think Teresa said it really well in the film. She was one of our students that filmed for us out in California. And in the very beginning of the film, she's got a scene where she's sitting there in her bedroom doing a video confessional, and she says, I'm one of those students where on the outside it looks like everything's great, like everything's perfect, but on the inside, it's really not. Now I'm wondering how many of you have felt that way before. I know I've felt that way before. I'm sure all of us have felt that way before. Like, I kind of got to put up this front. Like, everything's got to be okay on the outside. Everything's got to be fine. Everything's got to be cool. Well, maybe on the inside, it's really not. And what I'm wondering for you today is, what would your life be like if you didn't have to feel that pressure? What would change in your life if you could tell your truth and actually talk about how you feel? Because these issues that we deal with in school or at home, issues like bullying and school violence, these are just a few of the issues that students have to deal with. And I didn't grow up in 2018. I didn't grow up here going to your school. I can't pretend to know what you're going through or pretend to know what you go home to. But I can be curious about it, and I can wonder what's going on in your life. And I'd like to know right now, does anyone have the courage right now to maybe just raise their hand and tell me, what are some of the pressures that students on this campus deal with right now? What are some of the things affecting students right here at this school? Yeah. Being made fun of for medical issues, all right? Something out of our control that we get made fun of. What else? Yeah, right here in the blue shirt. Looks. Yeah, maybe how we look, how we dress, how if we're tall, if we're short, for sure. What else?
Getting made fun of for being a different race or culture.
Maybe getting made fun of for being a different race or culture. People not appreciating our background or our culture. Yeah, on the far side. Drugs, peer pressure, doing drugs, the pressure to use drugs, alcohol. What else? Personalities, different personalities. 500 kids all coming together, different personalities that are conflicting against each other. One last one. Maybe what you do after school, what you go home to, what you're going through in your life. These are all things that kids deal with every single day. And I think when we deal with these things in our life, just like Teresa said, we act like everything's okay when really it's not. And we kind of put on a mask. Do you ever feel like sometimes you wear a mask that you show the outside world, where maybe behind the mask, things are a little bit different? You know, we hear so much about mental health these days. What if mental health is just the ability to take that mask off? What if mental health is just the strength to tell our truth and talk about how we feel inside? Because when we feel these pressures, when we wear that mask, like Teresa said, and we act like everything's cool when it's really not, that's when we start making bad choices, right? That's when maybe we start running with the wrong crowd and getting involved in the wrong things at school. Maybe we turn to self-harm to relieve the pain that we feel. Maybe we turn to drugs and alcohol to relieve that pain and that pressure. And what I've found traveling this country, working with students in almost every state of this union, is that when teenagers feel these pressures, we often feel so alone in the pressure. Do you ever feel like sometimes you're the only one going through whatever it is that you're dealing with? I mean, sometimes we feel that way, especially when it comes to the issue of bullying. You know, because of the first film that we made on bullying, the film that you saw here today, that's the most work that I've done in schools over the years. And what I found working with middle school and high school age students is that when students are bullied at school or bullied on social media, they often feel like they're the only ones going through it. They feel so targeted, so isolated. But what I found in my travels is that that's not true. That every single one of us has been through it before. And if we're willing to tell the truth about it and kind of take our mask off and talk about what we're going through in our life, we actually start to see that we have more in common than we think. And there's an exercise that I like to do with students. I actually did it with your parents last night, and I want to do it with you right now. Because if you're willing to be honest with me, if you're willing to tell me the truth for this activity, I think it will truly illustrate how when it comes to the issue of bullying in particular, that every single one of us has dealt with it before. So for this exercise, don't worry, all right? It's simple, it's easy, it's fun. There's only 2 rules. Rule number 1, you just got to be honest. You just got to tell the truth, all right? And rule number 2, I'm going to ask you to stand and remain standing only if you can answer yes. So only if you can answer yes to any of the following questions I ask. And I'll do it with you so you're not alone. All right, but don't be lying to us, all right? Be honest, okay? All right, here we go. Please stand and remain standing if you've ever been punched, kicked, tripped, or shoved on purpose by someone else. Stand up if that's ever happened to you. Brothers and sisters count. Brothers and sisters count. They're people too, you know. Yes, they are. They're people too. All right, thanks for standing. Stay standing, please. Anyone still seated down? Those of you still seated down, the few of you still seated down. If you can answer yes to the next question, I'd like to ask everyone to stand and raise their right hand. Stand and raise your right hand if you ever had a rumor spread about you. Maybe on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I don't care how, the old-fashioned way. Let me see them. Keep your right hand up. Raise your left hand if you're called a name. Maybe a nickname you don't like. Maybe a racist comment made about you. Maybe a derogatory comment made about you. All right, put your hands down and stay standing. Look around. Everybody standing right now has been bullied at some point in their life. Everything I just mentioned at school, at home, on the internet is a form of bullying. And if there's a student, in all seriousness, if there's a student in this audience right now who maybe feels bullied, maybe you feel isolated, you feel alone, I'd like you to look around because you're not alone. This is what it looks like when students actually tell their truth. We start to see that we have more in common with each other than we think. Now I'd like to ask you one last question. And this one's my favorite one to ask because I can tell from being here that this is a good school. All right, you're good students, you got great hearts. But I want to ask this question, and I'd like you to be honest with me. Please tell me the truth. Please sit down if you've ever done any of those things. If you've ever punched, kicked, tripped, called someone a name, spread a rumor, made a racist comment, excluded somebody. And brothers and sisters count for this one too. Brothers and sisters count. You sure, man? You can look me in the face and say you never done any of those things? Yeah, we're losing him. We got 1, 2, 3. You sure? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I get about 10 students. Give these 10 students a round of applause. Give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for who you are and what you do. Thank you. You can sit down now. Thank you. Thank you. 10 students. 10 students out of what? Like 400 or 500? You know, there's a stat in our film. I always love to point this stat out. All right, when we made the movie, I did a ton of research, okay? And I got this stat from the United States government. Before we started doing this, the U.S. Department of Education said 30%. 30% of students have bullied and been bullied by someone else, 30%. We've done this presentation with millions of students across America. Only about 3,460 now have remained standing. I've done the math, all right? That's not 30%. That's 99%. 99% of the students we've personally talked to have bullied and been bullied by someone else. Now I'd like to ask you, you're a smart group. Why do people do this? Who can raise their hand and tell me, why do people do this to each other? Yeah. Maybe they feel insecure. Yeah, sometimes we don't realize that maybe it's the bully that feels insecure. Yeah. Just to fit in, for sure. Run with a certain crowd. Yeah. Just to make them feel better about themselves. For some reason, we sometimes feel better if we put someone else down. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes just to bring other people down so we can feel a little higher. And one last one in the back, the young lady behind you. Yeah. Listen to that. Because sometimes it's a chain reaction. We get hurt, so we go hurt someone else, and then they go hurt someone else, and it just kind of goes on and on and on. And I ask students as I travel this country the same question. They tell me the same answers that you did. Kids do it to me just to be cool. Kids do it for respect or authority. Sometimes kids do it because they're racist. They don't understand someone's background or appreciate someone's culture. Sometimes maybe something just happens at home. And we come to school all ticked off and we just take it out on someone else just to get it off our chest. But what I'd like you to think about is how it makes people feel when they're treated this way. How it makes you feel. You know, it makes people feel sad. It can make people feel lonely, like we saw in the film. Sometimes it can make people feel angry. And sometimes When people are treated this way, or we live with these pressures and we can't tell our truth, and we hold it all inside, and we wear that mask, sometimes we lose hope. You know, we have lost so many students right here in America to suicide. So many wonderful, amazing students have made extremely permanent decisions around very temporary issues in their life. In fact, just last week, we lost a 9-year-old boy because kids at school called him gay, told him he should go home and kill himself, and that's exactly what he did. Because it was so hard for him to live with what he was going through. And so it's up to each and every one of us to find our voice so we can get through this. You know, I meet so many students on the road that have lost hope, that are going through this pain and deal with these pressures. They always ask me the same question. JC, you talk about mental health. You talk about telling your truth. It's so hard to tell your truth. I've got to wear that mask because it's what protects me from what's going on in my life. How can I take it off? And my answer is always the same. You've got to find your voice. Once you find your voice, once you get connected on campus, once you find your voice and you find your purpose, that's when things change. Because when we get connected on campus, we get connected with people around us that can care for us, people that can live in relationship with us. And that's what allows us to take that mask off and finally tell our truth. Because we're with people that truly care about us. We're in a safe place. And that's a huge component of what mental health is. And for you, I don't know what it looks like for you to find your voice. You know, for the kids in our movie, they loved making that film. That was kind of their voice. For me, you know, I love football. All right? I love playing sports. That's kind of like, that was my thing in school. For you, it's probably something different. It might be theater or dance or soccer or baseball or math or science. I don't know what it is for you. But I encourage you during your time here in school to find your voice and get connected, because that is what will allow you to tell your truth so you don't have to live with that pressure inside. Because when we're connected, we just feel better. The campus feels better. We all feel better when we live in. I'll prove it to you right now. I will prove it to you right now that when we're connected, that we all just feel better inside. And it will take me 10 seconds. All right, I'll do it like that. Okay? If you're willing to help me, I'd like you to take 10 seconds and just turn to the person next to you either way, turn to the person next to you either way, and take 10 seconds and just pay them a compliment. Just say something nice to them. Go ahead. Just say something kind. Look at that. They're hugging each other over there. High-fiving them over here. Look at that. Most of y'all feel pretty good right now. Most of y'all got smiles on your faces. Now imagine. All right, 10 seconds is up. 10 seconds up. Y'all been great. Look at the love. I love the love right here. Now imagine. All right, 10 seconds is up. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you. I love the energy. I love that connection, man. Now imagine. You guys good? All right. I appreciate that, man. I saw you give him a hug, too. I saw it happen. All right? I saw it. All right. You know, I'd like you to imagine what would change in your life if you could feel that connected every single day. What would change? Would you be able to take that mask off and tell your truth if you could feel that? And what would change on this campus if everyone here could just take that 10 seconds a day to be kind, to make that connection, to offer that compliment, to give that smile? Because we don't know what someone else is going through and what might be bothering them inside. And us reaching out could be that one thing that gives them hope, that one thing that helps them get over whatever it is that they're dealing with in life. Because let me let you know a little secret. All right, something as high school students, you probably already know. All right, the good things in life, I don't know why, we tend to forget them. All right, that compliment you just got, when you go home tonight, you probably won't remember what it is. All right, 2 weeks from now, you probably won't remember who said it to you or what they said. Because the good things, they don't always stay with us. But the bad things that happen to us when we're younger, at school, at home, on the internet, can last a lifetime. They never go away ever. And I'm sure you can remember things that happened to you as if it was yesterday. You see, the reason why I'm here today, the reason why your counselors and your teachers work so hard to get us here, is not really to talk to you about bullying, okay? You're not a bunch of fourth graders. I'm here to talk to you about the power that you have. The power that you have to use your voice every single day to truly be that difference. I am here to recruit you to be a part of our movement here at Teen Truth. You know, here at Teen Truth, we are constantly on the road. Everyone who works for me, we are on the road, away from our friends and family, day after day, week after week, and it's really hard. And sometimes things at home break down with our family, with our friends, because we're on the road working with students all the time. And to be honest with you, it feels sometimes like we're fighting a war. Like we're soldiers out on the front line fighting a battle to give students a voice, to help students deal with these pressures that they're going through inside. And soldiers who fight wear dog tags. They wear dog tags with their initials on them in case they ever need to be identified. Well, we at Teen Truth, we made our own dog tags with our initials on them to remind us every single day of what we're fighting for. And I'd like to give a dog tag away right now to a student who's willing to answer a question for me. It's a very important question because you don't know the question yet, man. I like the energy, though. I like this guy. What's your name? Nash. All right, Nash is a cool guy. Y'all hang out with him later. All right, hey, I'd like to give this dog tag away to someone who can answer this question now. It's a very important question because I believe the answer can truly change your life and change the school for the better. And now there's only one right answer that I'll accept. It's got to be exact. And please raise your hand. Don't shout it out. I'll call on you. So for the dog tag, here we go. If you're not using your voice to make a difference, what are you doing? If you're not making a difference, what are you doing? Yeah, right here. You're just making it worse. That's a great answer. Not the answer I'm looking for, sorry. If you're not making a difference, what are you doing? Yeah, in the gray shirt in the back, yeah. What'd you say? Nothing? Is that your final answer? That's it. Give him a round of applause. There we go. There we go. Wow, you got a smart group. Thanks for joining us, man. Now imagine if we don't use our voice to make that difference, we're doing nothing. So why don't we start doing something then, every single day to make that difference? I believe if you can come to this campus, and even if it's just for that 10 seconds a day, go out of your way to make that difference, that amazing things can happen right here at this school. And I believe it so much because I have proof. I have proof of what students just like you have done to change the world, just by taking that time every single day to make that difference. I'd like to share with you a story. It's a story about my friend. My friend's name is Ryan Bellflower. And I met Ryan a few years back when he was a high school student. And Ryan, he's a little different than a lot of us here. All right, Ryan grew up with a learning challenge. Basically, it's extremely hard for Ryan to learn. He spent his entire life in special education classes. And growing up in elementary school and middle school, a lot of times kids picked on him. A lot of times kids stereotyped him just because he was a little different than them. But Ryan, this guy, he was tough as nails. He had this amazing mom and this big brother that really believed in him. And when he went to high school, he went to a school that was just like your school. But you see, the principal on that campus, he had a few challenges as well. His name was Mr. Eben. And when Mr. Eben was a little younger than me, he had an accident. And he basically got paralyzed from the back down. And he had to ride around that campus in a wheelchair. He could really move nothing but his head and this hand. But because of what he had been through, he would tell every student on that campus to feel the love, feel the love, feel the love. And no joke, when you walked on that campus, you truly could feel the love. And when Rhino went there, and those students met him, instead of knocking him down, they encouraged him to explore his talents. Because you see, if you ever met Rhino, you know in just 2 minutes from talking to this guy loves sports. All right, this guy loves everything about sports. He loves football, he loves baseball, he loves basketball. This guy, he'd watch ESPN 24 hours a day if you let him. And growing up junior year, When Ryan was about 16 years old, he decided on his own that he wanted to try out for the basketball team. Something people told him he'd never be able to do. And due to his learning challenge, unfortunately, he was cut. But the coach came up to him afterwards and said, Ryan, I really enjoyed your hard work and your determination. I'd like to offer you a job. I'd like to offer you a job as manager of this team. And if you can come to practice every day and you can help these players get better, maybe one day you can earn a jersey. And maybe one day I'll get in a game. I can't promise, but I'll do the best I can. And Ryan, that guy, he went to practice every day. And he helped those players get better. And he made that difference in their life. And during his senior year, he earned that jersey. And he earned that spot on the bench with the team. And during senior night, the last game of his senior year, the players on his team took it upon themselves to make that difference in Ryan's life. They went up to their coach. They said, Coach, this is his last game. What do we have to do tonight to get Ryan to win the game? Coach said, we're in a playoff run, guys. You guys got to win. They said, we don't care, Coach. We just want to give him a game so he accomplishes his dreams. Coach said, okay, I'll make you a deal. If you're up by 15 points in the fourth quarter, I'll put Ryan to win the game. And check this out. The fourth quarter comes, and the Clovis Timberwolves, they're up by 15 points. The players on his team have done what they set out to do to make that difference in Ryan's life. You're going to see Coach, put him in right there. He's number 12. He's waiting his whole life for this one moment to do something people had told him he'd never be able to do. And you could see how loving and supportive that school was. You truly could feel the love in that gym that night. And we're going to pick this game up with about 10 seconds left in Ryan's final home game of his senior year. Right now you've got about 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, let her fly. Nothing but net. Drains a three-pointer at the buzzer. Yeah! Now that's a defining moment. And Ryan took control of that situation. You see, he believed in himself. And he believed in himself because he had people around him just like you. And you're going to see the football team. They're going to come down on the court right now, and they're going to carry Ryan off like the hero that he is. You see, Ryan's told me this is one of the greatest days of his life. Because on this day, he was not just a student with the learning challenge. He was also a varsity basketball player for the Clovis East Timberwolves. And if that's not the power to make a difference in the world, I don't know what is. You all have that power. You can all make that difference in your life or in someone else's, but it's your choice. And you got to make that choice every single day that you walk on this campus. And Ryan's story, is an amazing story. It went out around the world. HBO, CNN, ESPN, troops in the military heard about Ryan's story. And they wrote Ryan's mom letters. They sent her thousands of letters and emails telling how inspiring this story was for them. And the reason I believe this story is so inspiring is because it's not all about the amazing shot that Rhino made. Those two players at the end of the game, they could have taken that shot, but they chose to pass the ball to Rhino. They chose to be that difference in his life because that's what Mr. Eben taught them to do. And that dude took that ball and he stepped to that three-point line and he drained that shot because he knew he could. There was no question in his mind. If he got the ball, he could hit that shot. Just like there should be no question in your mind. Whatever goal you want to achieve, you can achieve it. I don't care what obstacles put in front of you. And that's why Ryan's story is so important, because it's proof that when we find our voice on campus and we get connected with people that can care about us and help us live our truth and be that difference in our lives, that amazing things can happen. And they can happen right here in high school. So if you're a student that maybe sees someone being bullied, maybe you see someone being messed with on social media or out in the community, dude, step in, man, step up. Help that person out. And if you're a student that maybe sometimes feels like you got to wear that mask, maybe you feel that pressure that I was talking about earlier, where everything's got to be perfect on the outside, when on the inside it's really not. Talk to your counselors. Talk to your teachers. Find me on Facebook. Find me on Twitter. We're here because we believe in you. And we want to help you find your voice so you can live that truth and be that difference every single day. Being the difference is the most important thing that we can do. It is what Teen Truth is all about. We believe it so much, we have made these orange wristbands. We wear these orange wristbands, they say be the difference on them. I wear these things every freaking day, man. And every day I think to myself, I've got to be the difference. Me being here today, that's my way of being the difference. The students that shot our films, that's their way of being the difference. But I've got 3 wristbands that I give out to 3 students who are willing to stand up right now and not care what anyone else thinks, and tell us what you can do to be the difference. I'm going to count to 5, and I want to know who is willing to stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Let's go right here. Yeah, in the black shirt. What can you do to make a difference? Quiet, please. Yeah, what can you do to make a difference?
Talk to people.
Talk to people. Reach out to people. You promise to do that? Very good. Give him a round of applause. There we go. There we go. And this guy right here in the blue shirt, no, right here. This guy shot up right away. What can you do to be the difference?
Help people with the problems that they have, like encourage them to reach farther in their life.
Help people with the problems they have. Encourage them to reach farther. You promise to do that? Very good. Give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. Let's go right over here. Right over here. Yeah, right here. What can you do to make a difference?
You see someone being down and try to help them in any way you can.
If you see someone down, you try to help them up in any way you can. You promise to do that?
Yes.
Very good. Give her a round of applause. There we go. Now stay standing. Stay standing, those of you that stood up. To those of you that stood up, I applaud you for standing up. Give yourselves a round of applause for standing up. That's what it's all about. But in closing, for those of you who didn't stand up, I'd like you to ask yourself, where else in your life are you not standing? Where else in your life are you letting other people stand for you? From this point forward, stand for yourself and stand for another, and you will be that difference. Because if you're not making a difference, what are you doing? Oh, come on, your parents blew you away last night. No, we're not leaving on that. If you're not making a difference, what are you doing? No, listen. This is your school. This is your home. You have the power to make that difference every single day. I want to ask you one more time, and I want everyone in this town to hear us loud and clear. Let me ask you one last time. If you're not making a difference, what are you doing? Nothing. All right, let's find a way to make that difference. And thanks so much. I love you guys. Give yourselves a round of applause for being such a great audience. You have a great day. You have a great rest of the school year. Thanks so much for your time.